Okay, so we're moving on to rule 4 of the 12 Jeremy Beguy's rules for the second roll as part of our studies of the opening and backgammon. And rule 4 covers ace, X, and I'll explain what that means in a minute. I have two apologies. One is I have a bit of a cold on me tonight, so there might be some sniffling and coughing, just bear with that. And the second thing is this. Some of these videos, some of the 12 rules will be very, very short videos indeed. You'll do them in 3 or 4 minutes, they're that quick. This one, unfortunately, is going to be a long one. It's taken me a lot of time just kind of studying it. I've been looking at, Jeremy Guy, Albert Stegg, Bill Roberti, Mochi, Axel Reichert, and people like that. And it took me a while to get my head around it, and you'll see as we go through it what I mean. But let me just start by saying, reminder of the order of priority. So the first order of priority is rule 1. We hit outside our inner board. If we can't hit outside our inner board, we try to do rule 2. We play the natural rolls, which you can see in the previous video. If we can't do 1 or 2, we'll try and hit loose in the 5-point and 4-point. So that's the order of priority. After that, if we can't do 1, 2, or 3, there are 9 other situations that can happen, and the remaining rules aren't in order of priority. They come after the first 3, but they're just different situations that we're going to encounter. And rule 4 covers these. And what rule ace X means is just if we roll 1 and X means another number. So 1 and another number, how do we play it? And it's not as complicated as you think. It really only applies to 3 rolls, because if you look down through all the 1 numbers we can roll, a 6-1 is a natural, so it doesn't apply here. A 3-1 is a natural, so it doesn't apply here. And there'll be a separate, very short, because it's very easy video about double ones. So really we're just looking at 5-1, 4-1, and 2-1. And we just have to get on top of them. And there's a kind of I suppose a big thing. When we went through Mitchie's opening concepts books, one of his proverbs is, when you roll a 1, when you roll an ace, consider playing 6 to 5. Slotting, that's called. If you're not sure what I mean by slotting there, you slot your 5-point by playing a checker off the 6 to the 5 and leaving it there in the hope of covering it next time. And Steg definitely says his line is slotting your 5-point is a good use for an ace. So think about it. At the start of the game, the best way to play 2-1 is to play 6 to 5 and slot our ace, and then just bring one down from the midpoint. With 4-1 and 5-1, it's not quite. You could play one down and bring one down from the midpoint and 6 to 5 as well. It's not the best move. It's not a huge blunder. It's not even an error, I don't think, but it's quite an aggressive move. Someone said that's how Mochi always plays 4-1. I don't know if that's true or not. With 5-1, it's still not the right thing to do, but you could play the 6 to 5 and bring one down 13 to 8. That's at the start if we were going first. And what Steg's saying is basically, look, if we don't go first, we go second, we should still be looking at whether we should slot our 5-point and if it's a good use, if that's the best thing we can do. But I suppose the big thing and the big subject of Jeremy Beguy's rules is the 3 situations when you shouldn't slot. So the first of these is when your opponent has a stronger home board than you. So we said before, you might, if you played a 2-1 as the opening roll, you might play from 13 to 11, bring one down to the midpoint, and then slot your 5-point. But if we change that, and now we're going second, and our opponent has rolled a 4-2 and made a point in their home board, suddenly we're far more likely to be hit. As Bill Roberti says, the downside of slotting has skyrocketed, is his term. Because, and also, they're starting to build a bit of a prime, so the cost of slotting has gone up because splitting is a better thing to do. And in this situation, splitting is the right play. But the big thing is, if we were to slot and get hit, so say we play down with 6 to 5 and black hits us, now we're 4 times more likely to be stuck in the bar, or to dance in the bar. So for that reason, the cost of slotting has gone up, and it becomes the problem. We shouldn't do it. And Axel Reichert has a lovely phrase. I don't know why PowerPoint gave me that picture there. That's meant to be, I looked up burglar, and it gave me that. I don't know what a burglar is doing with a spray can, but Reichert's point is this. When our opponent has made a point in their home board, and we try to slot now, it's like breaking into a house when the legal penalty for burglary has increased considerably. So imagine, I'm not suggesting that backgammon players and anyone would be a burglar, but imagine you are a burglar, and suddenly the penalties for burglary goes up. You're much more cautious about doing it. And it's like that, according to Reichert, for slotting. if we slot and get hit, the penalty is much more considerable. The second reason time we shouldn't slot is when our opponent has split their back checkers. So it's a fairly obvious this one as well. I think if you play this in a match, you don't do it automatically. I said there's our starting position as we did from the very start, and we've got a 2-1 to roll. But now we're going to move it and let our opponent go first, and they're going to roll a 5-1. So they're going to split like that. And now we roll a 2-1. Think about it. If we were to slot with 6-5, instead of having one chance of hitting us with a 4, they can now hit us with a 3 as well. And of course, there's all these other little composite numbers like a 3, 2, double 2s, double 1s, and things like that. That would have been there already. But we've vastly increased our chances of getting caught. And Rijkaard's expression of that is, like us, we don't break into a house if we know the owner is awake and has a fierce guard dog running around. If we're trying to burgle somewhere and we're much more likely to get caught, we don't do it either. And that's really what he's getting at there. The third situation where we don't slot is when our opponent is threatening to build a prime, because if they're threatening to build a prime, we're going to try and split instead. And I'm going to come back to that later in this video. So Jeremy Begay, who's the source of these rules, and whose rules are excellent. I said I'm going to pick this one apart a little, but generally Jeremy Begay's rules are excellent. His rule is we should slot with aces. Slot with roll a 1. After, we should do this after opponent slots, or if they play down, if they play 2 down for their midpoint, so it could be 13-9, 13-8 or something like that. But otherwise we should split. And I have to admit that this is what I found difficult over the last couple of weeks as I've been kind of looking at this position, this rule. No, I was kind of, based on what Albert Stegg said, I was kind of saying, look, we should be looking to slot all the time. But in fact, no. And it was only Machi, I've mentioned this before, Machi does a great seminar. It's at I think it's the Los Angeles Open. Alex Shagian has it up on YouTube if you look for it. Machi seminar on the second row. And his point on this rule is much clearer for me. It's not that we should be looking to slot and here's when we can do it. He says it is this: we should only ever slot. When slot aces means place our 1s from 6-5. We should only ever slot aces after opponent slots themselves, or else if they play 2 down to the midpoint. Otherwise, we should always split. So it's not a case that we're, it took me a while to get this. We're not rushing to slot, but only after we slot aces themselves or play our opponent slots themselves or plays 2 down. Otherwise, we should expect to split. So here's a situation here. Here's an example of it. Our opponent played 13-9 and 13-10. So they're black. We're, as usual, bearing into the bottom right. So they haven't improved their home board. They haven't split at the back. And for this reason, we can come down with 13-11 and we could split at the back. But look, as Bill Roberti's always about the cost and the benefit of different moves. He said, look, the cost of that, look at all blacks' diversity up the top there. We're just increasing our chances of being hit at the top. So we put that back and we slot instead is the right move. And anything else is quite a significant error not to slot in that situation. Instead of that position, that's where our opponent had played 2 down. What if they'd slotted themselves? So they rolled. I'll give you a situation here where I beg your pardon, that's where I said if we played a 4-1, we'd slot as well, and a 5-1. I just went through all the different rows. 5-1, we slot as well. So I beg your pardon, just to explain what I've done there. I was looking at 2-1, but I brought in then 4-1, still right to slot, 5-1, still right to slot. But now this is what I was talking about there. If our opponent, instead of playing 2 down, had played a 4-1 and was in this position here, they'd done the aggressive slotting themselves, and we rolled a 2-1. Well, the correct move here with the 2-1 is to slot again. We don't want to split at the back and give them a chance to hit. It's not a big deal of a difference. Here's a little test yourself. What would you do with the 4-1? Would you slot? Absolutely not, because if you look at it, bear in mind, I keep going back to the rules of an order priority. Our first priority is to hit in our outer board if we can at all, or outside our inner board. And we can, up the top there, we can hit with the 4. And we shouldn't go near slotting. With 5-1, there's nothing else we can do. Is just bring it down and slot. So it's 13-8. We'll bring one down to the midfield, and slot 6-5 is the right move. Not much in it, but it gives us a chance to be aggressive. Now, that's a situation where we can't slot. Let me give you a couple of situations where we shouldn't slot. Here, we've kind of covered these already, but black is split at the back. Should we play 2-1? No, because if we were to come down and play there, look at the chances black has to hit it. It's just massive. So we don't play that at all. And even if we we realize that the right move here is to split at the back. It's not great, but it's the right move to do. When we split at the back, black has 6 chance of hitting our blot in the bottom left there, and also chances now in the top right. So the simple thing is we just have to. That's not great, but it's better than leaving black a chance to hit us. Sorry, that was the right move to split it at the back. With a 4-1, have a look at it now and say, would you split at the back with a 4-1? Well, you wouldn't. You do a double hit, and I'm going to come back to that shortly. With a 5-1, again, there's nothing safe about slotting. If we were to play 6-5 here, look at black's 2 blots down the bottom right there. If we played 6-5, we'd just give him huge chances of hitting first. So instead, we just play 13-8 and split at the back. It's just the safer move. Now, Jeremy Begay comes up with a couple of sub-rules. You know that within his rules he has sub-rules. They're all fairly straightforward. 4A is just if you slot it, if the split is blocked by 6-4. 6-4P is his notation for 6-4, that he's used 6-4 to make a point, to make our 2 point. Right, here's the position. I don't think you even need to learn this or worry too much about this. I think that's fairly natural what you do with the 2-1. You'd come down 13-11 with the 2. You could play 11-10, but it actually, I hate that having a blot on the 10 point. It just seems to ruin our diversity. We're better off just being a little bit more aggressive. Dirk Sheeman always talked about seizing momentum. Play the 6-5. We could get hit, but it's not fatal. So basically, it's a memory thing. Is when our opponent plays 6-4 and makes a 2 point, we should slot. It's the same with if we rolled a 4-1, we come down and slot. There's nothing better to do. Although, that's not entirely true. There is a slightly safer roll we could play. When we come down with the 4, could we do something with the 1 to make it safer? We could slightly safer play 13-8. There's nothing in it. Both plays, look at this, 1 millipoint of difference for the slotting. I quite like the slotting aggressive play, but there's nothing in it. And if you want to play 13-8, the safe play, it's not wrong in the slightest. Sometimes we avoid 13-8 because we think it's the beginner's mistake. But sometimes 13-8 is very much the best thing to do. Here with the 5-1, how do you play a 5-1? Well, again, 13-8 is kind of mandatory really with the 5. What do you play with the 1? You can't play from the back series slot. And it's just 13-8 and 6-5 is the right thing to do. You'll know 4B already. If you've been watching the video series about the opening, you'll know this already. Mitchie covers it. It's been covered several times. If an opponent splits with 24-23, splits at the back with a 1, and you roll 4-1, you should double hit. So you'll recognize this position here. Our opponent rolled a 4-1, and they've split at the back down the bottom right there. We can hit both checkers with a 4 and a 1, and we should do so. It's the only time it's right to do so. And I was interested in reading Bill Roberti. He says, we're not doing this because it's a good move. It's at best, we might get hit and be able to recycle our checker, or else we put a checker out of the game. So it's not great, but it does seize momentum for us. And for that reason, it's the right thing to double hit. But it's not a particularly good move. We're not jumping up in the air thinking, woohoo, we've got 2 black checkers in the bar, we're going to win this game. It's a pretty poor position to be in, but it's just the right thing to do. And anything else is a significant error. If the opponent slots with 2-1, this is a very interesting one that took me a while to kind of guess, but it does make sense. If our opponent does their own slot with the 2-1 and we can't hit it, well, then we should treat it as if it's a point and they're making a prime, and we should split against the prime. So here's what I'm talking about. Up the top there, if you look at black has rolled 2-1 and they've slotted their own point. We've rolled a 2-1 and we can't hit, so we're not able to hit anything back. So the only really good use of the 2 is to come down 13-11. But think about, before you even get into that, let's just think about what black will do next roll. I think it's 33 out of 36 rolls. Black's going to make their 5 points because we can't hit it back. And I did this little kind of random draw on XG, and it gave black a 4 and 2. And black gets a 4 and 2 in the next go. Look, they've moved it forward. They made their 5 point. They're now starting to build a prime. And if you remember Mitchie's early proverbs, he said you should split against a prime. So it's wrong to slot at this stage. We want to split at the back because we're facing a prime. But that wasn't the situation. This was the situation. Black hasn't yet made that 5 point, but they will next go. So this is Jeremy Begay's sub rule here. It's just basically black hasn't made the prime yet, or sorry, the 5 point yet, but they're going to. It's as sure as chips are going to make their prime. So sorry, make their 5 point, which is now a priming position. So we should split against it preemptively. We come down 13 to 11 and just split at the back is definitely the right thing to do. Not much of a, that would be what Jeremy Guy calls a substitution. It's not a huge error to slot it, but we're trying to get everything perfect here, so we'll try and get it right. And likewise, with a 5-1, it's the right thing to do. I didn't show you a 4-1 because a 4-1 we're going to hit at the back as usual. If we can have a chance to hit and send black back, of course we do. Just bear that in mind. The final sub rule is just to avoid direct shots in the outfield. And this is kind of a funny little one here. It's just black has rolled a 5-2. And they've done the pretty normal roll of playing 13 to 8. And they've split at the back with the 2. Now look what happens when we roll a 4. If we roll a 4 now, that 4 is in direct range of one of the black blots down the bottom there. Very likely to be hit. And so we don't want to, he's saying don't slot, for the love of God, don't slot, or even split. Jeremy Guy's point is don't slot or even split, and leaves that our blot down the bottom left there on our 9 point. We leave a blot on our 9 point. Black has a free chance to hit us. Let's not give them that. They'll have 17 out of 36 rolls chance to hit us, plus more coming from the rear point. So you're more likely to hit us than not. So let's go back to the start and say, well, look, Jeremy Guy has a funny way of looking at it. His suggestion is we kind of play from the rear, so play 24 to 20 and 24 to 23. That's he puts that into his rules, but I kind of put it into XG, and XG didn't say that at all. And then I kind of went through Bill Roberti's book, and he said, no, that's not right at all. So the right thing to do, like think about what you're going to do. You're going to play your 13 to 9, but can you make that point, that blot safe? Yes, you just play the 9 to 8. And again, it's one of those ones where you just 13 to 8 is just simplest. No, and it's definitely quite a significant 17 millipoint error. And in the second row of the game, we're trying to be perfect. 17 millipoint of a PR loss is not good enough. Finally, here's another example of where not leaving direct shots in the outfield. And I'm going to come back to this position later in the video as well. So 2-1, well, anything we do, if we slot, we're going to leave black loads of shots, no matter where if we come down 13, no matter what we do, we're leaving blacks. We don't have to come back to 13 to 11, we can split at the back. We're still leaving lots of shots. So that's just not a good thing to do. We could come down 13 to 11 and on one more with 11 to 10, but we give black a free shot at us there that we don't need to give. So we don't give black a free shot. Think about the guy's order of priority. The first thing is hit in the outfield if you can at all. So let's not let our opponent have a free chance to hit us. Let's instead we just quietly just move forward from the back. 24 to 21 is just the safest thing to do, and doesn't leave black any shots in the outfield, and is the right thing to do. Finally, that's where Jeremy Beguy left it, and this is where this video is taking me a little bit longer to prepare, because he left it at that. But I came across two exceptions. One no one has mentioned. I'm kind of, sometimes you doubt yourself and say, am I missing something here? But no one has mentioned this. If our opponent, we've talked about our opponent, bringing 2 down, our opponent slotting, our opponent making a point, our opponent splitting. Nowhere is it talked about if our opponent runs with 6x. So Bill Roberti's book, I love his, as I said before, it's like encyclopedic. He goes through every single possible roles and combinations of roles. And going through that, it became clear that when an opponent runs with this by 6x, this video is called ace-x, when they roll a 1 and another number. 6x is when they roll a 6 and another number. It behaves slightly differently. So it could be that black rolls a 6 and a 2 and runs out with that. That's not a good move. That'd be a bit of a beginner's mistake, but they could do that. At 6-3, black might be more likely to run, and at DMP, it's more attractive. At DMP, with when you're the winner of this game wins the match. 6-4, it's correct to run out all the way. And then the most common running play with a 6 is 6 and 5. We know it as Lover's Leap, where you roll the black runs the whole way from its rearmost checkers to the midpoint and goes 24 to 13 like that. And I don't know if you can see it on the bottom left, there's 6 checkers now on the midpoint. And with those rolls, the rules for slotting and splitting, not splotting and splitting, the rules for slotting and splitting are slightly different. And the good news is it's not as bad as it's looked. I kind of went through this tonight on XG. I went through it and I put it in for an unlimited money game situation, and then I put it in for a match situation for 11 points, and in all but the bottom right one there, it gave exactly the same results. So it's pretty kind of comprehensive, and I put it through what is it, two plus plus. I kind of I'm not very good at XG, but I kind of rolled it at plus plus level to see what it gave. And this is what we should be doing. So down the column on the left hand side there, if our opponent rolls at 24-16, 24-15, and 24-13, or Lover's Leap is 24-13, and then up the top, the row along the top there is if we roll a 2-1, a 4-1, or a 5-1, how we should behave. So that's what that table means. It might look intimidating that you've got 12 things to remember, but the good news is only the ones in red there are different to what you'd expect to do. So for 8 out of the 12 rolls, piece of cake. You're just going to do what you naturally come to mind. But with the other rolls, there's just a little thing to think about, and that's why I put them in as exceptions, because they are exceptions. So if our opponent plays out with 6-2, let's not give them extra equity to reward them for. They're probably the incorrect move. Up the top there, that's 26. Playing out with 6-2 they go from 24-16, so it's the top row of the table there. 4-1 and 5-1, we play as you see it as we go through it. You'll play it normally. It's only 2-1. We don't give them a free hit at us. We just move safely from the back instead. And we've covered this position already. So they played their come out 6-2. We've rolled a 2-1. If you look up the top left there on our midpoint, if we played down anything down from our midpoint, we're giving black a free shot. It's the same position as we covered already. So we just come out from the back with 24-21. With a 4-1, what would you do? Well, you'd hit. So, Jeremy Beguy's rule 1, just hit and split at the back is right. So you do that naturally. And with a 5-1, what would you do? Well, you'd play 13-8. Is there only really decent use of a 5? And then split at the back. And again, that shows it there. This time, instead of our opponent running a 6-2 and running, they rolled a 6-3 and ran. So they've moved their black checker down the bottom forward one more place towards safety. And again, this one, the good news is all the rules are what you'd expect to do. So if we roll a 2 and a 1, we can hit them. If we roll a 4 and a 1, we'll come down 13-9 and then split at the back. And we shouldn't slot. If we roll a 5 and a 1, we'll come down 13-8 and split at the back. So that's fairly straightforward. Where it gets interesting is when our opponent rolls 6-4. 6-4 kind of, for some reason, and I was playing with the next sheet, and I don't know why, because I don't think 4s are of any great benefit to black more than usual. But as I always say, I'm only an intermediate player. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it does play differently. So with a 2-1, what are we going to do? Of course, with a 2-1, we're going to hit black. If we roll a 2, we can hit from 13-11, hit the black spot there on the bottom left, and just split at the back. So that's straightforward enough. But with the 4-1 and 5-1, we should come down and slot. And that's the one that you might, I don't find that intrinsically understandable, but you just have to memorize it. That's the right thing to do. So with a 4-1, we should come down 13-9 and slot and try and trap blacks. I suppose what we're trying to do is trap blacks blot at the back in there. The slotting play was reasonably attractive at the very start of the game. Now there's all the more incentive to try and block them in. So that's why we do it, I suppose. With the 5-1, likewise, the best move is to come down 13-8 with the 5 and then just slot it again is the right thing to do. So you might just remember, if our opponent has played 24-14 and run to their 14 point, we slot rather than split. It's just one thing to remember. And finally, with 6-5 Lover's Leap, black down the bottom has played their nice roll of Lover's Leap and won their back checkers to safety the midpoint. And again, there's just one thing to notice in this. With our 2, if we roll a 2-1, we try to capture black's other checker. So we come down and we slot. We take a chance that we can make the prime and kind of block them in. But with 4-1 and 5-1, we just do what you'd expect to do there. We just split. If we're going to follow Jeremy Beguy's rules about only slotting when we've got, our opponent has brought 2 down or slotted themselves, it's only the 2-1 that's any different to what you expect. So 2-1, we're going to bring 13-11 and 6-5 and try and trap black in. 4-1, we're not. We're just going to play safe. It's not a huge error. And 5-1, actually, this was the only position where there was a slight difference in XG between a cash game unlimited versus a match situation, an 11-point match. In the cash game, they actually wanted to play 24-18 there for some reason. But I generally play matches. Is how I like to play backgammon. I don't play cash backgammon. And most of the Irish players don't either. So it's just 13 to 8 comes down and split at the back. You do that naturally. So that little table there, if you only want to take a screenshot of it or something, it might be a help. It as you play this, as I've kind of gone through this week, it has made more and more sense. That easy to remember. It's not something that you have to be up all night thinking, how the hell I'm going to memorize this. It'll just come naturally, I think. The other exception, very quickly, is just if we roll a 2-1 after a plum plays a very specific roll of 5-1, we don't play this with a split. So our opponent has played 5-1. They played 13-8, and they've split at the back. How do we play a 2-1? And it's just one thing to memorize. There's no way of learning it. Bill Roberti's book has said, I got this from Bill Roberti's book. It's just there. If we come down 13-11, black has 6 out of 36 chances of hitting us down the bottom there. So they can roll a 10 or a 9, and great chances to hit us there. So it's just too vulnerable. So instead, we put that back there, and we just come out tamely with our 24-21. It's just safer, just the better thing to do, and it's not a error to play the other one, but it's wasting PR that we don't need to waste. So that's it. That's Jeremy Beguy's rules for Ace X when you roll a 1 and another number. We'll be coming back to 6X shortly, and we're now. I appreciate this has been a very long video, but we're getting through the kind of the sloggy parts of it. The later videos when it comes to doublets and things are actually very manageable.